steady erosion of Brussels-based journalists is impacting the way interest groups get their message across in a rapidly evolving media landscape. As a former hack who made the shift to FLAC, Public Affairs and Media Relations, I've time and again talked to colleagues who've done the same thing. They've put their talents to work in a field with ever stronger demand, with agencies like Cambre Associates filling the vacuum a downsizing news business is creating. And no wonder. The ranks of journalists covering the EU have drastically thinned from an estimated 1,200 to 800 in about 5 years, and counting, downward. The reasons? The latest economic crisis forcing cost-cutting, especially among newspapers with declining readerships. Ever-increasing competition from online media, which is usually free, surviving on advertising, and the journalists' struggle to sell typically picture-challenged EU stories to their editors, concerned that if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead. As part of that cost-cutting, reporters are covering Brussels from afar, parachuting in to cover major events, and losing that ear to the ground, that bush telegraph, that source development that only a Brussels reporter can provide. There's another troubling trend. Journalists see the European Commission increasingly avoiding direct contact, apart from the press conferences and handing out press releases. The danger goes beyond losing journalists here on the ground as a fourth column of democracy. There appears a widening chasm between bureaucrats and a public often swayed by Eurosceptic press that overcome the picture-challenged stories by playing sensational headlines of the big bad EU. The Commission's attempt to go directly to the people thus risks backfiring as the journos here dedicated to covering Europe and understanding it disappear. Case in point, German tabloid Bild Zeitung set up a full-time correspondency in Brussels this year, while other news outlets scale down. EU bashing is increasingly popular as it sells. In several EU member states, Eurosceptic or nationalistic parties are gaining clout, if not entering the government. Filling the information vacuum are public affairs agencies and specialized media consultancy firms, either by providing independent analysis or representing and conveying the message of its clients. For companies and organizations in a broad range of sectors, that means reaching out, with expertise and networking, to the EU, national media, and public via informational campaigns, events, lobbying, and online platforms. Those firms are increasingly tapping the experience and know-how of ex-journalists like me, who have adapted to the shifting media landscape in which switching to public relations, public affairs, and media outreach doesn't have to mean crossing to the dark side. It's all about conveying a message to a wider audience, with agencies like Cambre filling the information gap. This is no anti-media conspiracy. It's a reflection of and an adaptation to political and market forces at work. I'm Chris Burns.